Hi there, Year 11s, and let's look at the 2012 paper for Chance and Data. Special shout out going to Paige from St Andrews College. So there you go, Paige, there's your shout out. Okay, so this is the first question we're looking at, and I'll let you pause and read here if you want. And here's all our summary statistics there as well. And the first questions that we're looking at are here. So the first one's saying, what is the difference between the medians? And so we have our first median here, and our second median for Australians, and the difference is 9. So our difference there is 9 milliseconds. Okay, the next question is asking, when we consider the medians, do you agree with Ella's conclusion? Well, if we just go back and look at those medians, so the Canadian median is 359, the Australian median is 350. So yes, her statement here that she thinks Canadians have higher reaction times is consistent based on the medians. So we'll say yes, we agree, since the Canadian median of 359 milliseconds is higher than the Australian median of 350 milliseconds. Okay, so that's one aspect of it. We also need to just consider this in context of the graphs as well. And so we can see with our graphs that actually the medians look very, very close, particularly in proportion to the middle 50%, and that the shape of these is quite similar as well. And so we kind of can sort of qualify this a bit by saying that both medians are within the box of the other sample, or other sample distribution. So we'll just say, however, both medians are within the box of the other samples distribution. Okay, so we're just really qualifying here that because of this, that might have an impact on the whole population. So we'll say, therefore, this may not be true for the whole population. So therefore, her statement may not be true for the whole population. Okay, so we're just sort of explaining our thinking there a bit. Okay, so the next question is saying, when we consider the means and the medians, do you agree? Well, let's have a look at the means, and the mean of Canadians is lower than the mean of Australians, which really conflicts with the medians. But then when we look at the data, Australians have this single outlier here, which really affects the mean. So we really want to remark on that. So first of all, what we'll say is, when we consider means and medians, do we agree? Well, no, really. So no, since median is higher for Canadians, but mean is higher for Australians. Okay, what else can we consider here? So we'll make a comment about the way that the mean has been dragged up by the outlier. So we'll say, however, the mean for Australia has been affected a lot by just one, and I'll call it an extreme value rather than an outlier. Extreme value. So comparing the means may not be useful. So comparing means may not necessarily be useful. Okay, so you can see with each of these comments we're trying to go a little bit deeper than just answering the question straight up and putting some ideas in there, and some of your ideas may be different to mine. You just have to make sure that they're valid in some way. Okay, when you consider the graphs, do you agree with Ella's conclusion? Okay, well, let's look at the graphs. We've got two graphs here. We've got a dot plot. Dot plot shows a distribution. So if I drew out the distribution, in both cases I see something very, very similar, except for this extreme value out there. So as far as the distributions go, I'd say no. So we'll start with that. So firstly, no, since the dot plot distribution, we'll say sample distribution because it is a sample distribution, dot plot sample distributions are so similar that we can't be certain about drawing a conclusion. So similar we cannot make a certain call. Okay, what else can we say here? Well, let's look at the box and whisker plots. So the box part of each is very similar, and the beginning values for each are very similar. Australia seems to have a bit more spread towards the higher reaction time. So what we can say is the box and whisker graphs are, the box part of the box and whisker graphs are very similar. So min, lower quartile, median, upper quartile are all very similar for both Canadian and Australian reaction times. Okay, let's see, anything else that we can put in here? Yeah, I guess really what we're saying here is we can't agree with what she says, not because the opposite is true, but because there's just not enough evidence here to make a call. So we'll say, in summary, not enough evidence to make a call either way. So in summary, not enough evidence to make a call. Okay, now if we're talking about this in terms of OVS, we could also say that you know, the OVS doesn't, the difference between the medians is not more than a third of the difference between the overall visual spread. That's something that we could mention, and also just the fact that neither median lies above or below the other upper and lower quartiles. So those are the things that you could add in as well. Okay, so that's question 1, and I'll stop this video there and then I'll go into question